What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Recap, a CSZ and Ringside podcast collaboration. We are your hosts, Jeremy Wallman, the OPC, the original podcast chief, the right-hand man, the big little loose.
Acknowledge me.
Joe, don't do that. We're not doing that no more. Joe Uso.
Sean.
And then last but not least, he's showing you the size of his membrane. It's the guy, Sean Barber. Sean, what's good, man?
Well, could have been a better week, but other than that, it's been a decent week.
Showing off that widow's peak.
That's right.
Absolutely. Look, the chat line is open for all of your comments. We will answer all of your questions in real time to get your reactions. As always, if you're a member of the Ringside group chat on Twitter, you have the opportunity to call in too. One of these guys will let me know that you put in the chat you want to call in, and we'll give you the number to call in and talk a little wrestling with us. Questions of the night tonight. We want to know, was this the best Saudi show ever? We also want to know your worst champions ever. Give us your Mount RushNOre or Rushmore of the worst wrestling champions ever. We'll go over that later in the show. And as we told you all last week, we want you all to pick 4 current superstars, 2 male, 2 female, that will be main eventing WrestleMania in 5 years. And we'll discuss that amongst ourselves. Already the chat line blowing up. Wes Brocky acknowledging everybody because he's just an acknowledge ho. He just acknowledges whoever. Oh, never mind. Whoever says hi. All right, let's get into it, guys. Night of Champions, stellar pay-per-view. I would have said, I would have said that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, got messages coming.
What was the last question?
I would have said the
third
one? Best Saudi show ever, worst champions ever. Pick 4 current superstars that'll main event WrestleMania in 5 years. I thought it was the best Saudi show I've seen. Starting off with the Raquel versus Rhea Ripley street fight. Even though that was criticized a lot this week because of the referee holding on to the table to keep them sturdy. When you're watching it real time, you don't really care about stuff like that. You want to watch good wrestling, and that was a good wrestling match.
And you don't nitpick over things like that.
I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, good.
Oh, that's what. Yeah. Talking to the microphone. That helps.
Couldn't hear me over my stomach growling.
True. Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Felt like the wrong person won there, but decent match. Really good match. Mr. Fatu, Jacob Fatu, that is, loses his U.S. title as predicted to Solo Sikoa. What I didn't know is that Hikale Hialakalala would debut during this match, and alongside Tonga Loa, Sweet and Loa, Tala Tonga Loa, and all of the Loas, Bacha Loa, all of them helped Solo defeat Jacob Fatu. Good match. Love the ending of that. Asuka and Jade, a otherwise stellar match, ends again with a botch, with criticism. But again, you can only choose to take away negativity from things if you just want to nitpick and be petty about it. It was a great match. It ended on a sour note, but
one thing, sorry to interrupt, but one thing you got to keep in mind about that is the women are in full clothes, right? And from all accounts, it was like 100 and something degrees in the arena.
200.
Yeah, so it's not hard for, if you sit on top of somebody like that, to slide off, slide backwards,
slide to the left.
I'll be the first one to kind of not necessarily nitpick, but criticize a little bit Jade Cargill's readiness, but that's not her fault.
No, and it was a good match. It
was a good match.
Sucks to end that way.
Asuka's awesome.
Absolutely. The night started off with Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. King Cody, don't think that was ever a doubt in anybody's mind. And the last match of the night, John Cena versus CM Punk for the WWE title. The night started with an OVW versus OVW match. Ended the night with an OVW versus OVW match. John Cena defeats CM Punk, retains his title. Sean, you did correct me if I'm wrong. You did get to watch Night of Champions, right?
No, but I did see some of the highlights, so I kind of know what happened. I saw the spots you were talking about, some of the spots you were talking about.
I thought that was the one thing you said you did watch.
No, I didn't really get to watch all it. I got to watch highlights of it.
Sean.
Yeah, so. But yeah, I got to watch the highlights of it, and I'll tell you what I saw from the Cody Randy match was interesting because the highlights I saw, they both took some heelish tactics. I saw in some of the highlights. I know he had Randy bent on the he's bending his back on the ring post, which is something you usually see a heel do more in the face. So I thought that was interesting. But I know Randy took some, not so good guy moves here and there, but I think the right guy won because it's going to be Cody and Cena at SummerSlam. The question is going to be one-on-one, or is there going to be a triple threat?
Spoilers.
I hope Randy screws Cody out of the title at SummerSlam.
Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be good.
John Cena's not losing the championship until he's leaving.
As much as I've hoped and prayed that
Seth is going to be the one that lifts it off of him. I'm telling you. I've been telling y'all this for months. Evolution card finally 10 days away from it, starting to shape up a little bit. On Monday Night Raw, it was announced not only was EO's dying to defend her title versus Rhea Ripley, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I love the match. I just don't love the way it was presented at the 18th hour.
Rhea Ripley.
I
love you.
A match. Obviously, JC Jane will defend her championship versus Jordan Grace.
Yep.
Or as Santino calls her, Jordan Grace.
Jordan Grace.
There will be a battle royal for a title match at the Clash in Paris, France, wherever it is the Clash is this year. And the last one announced during Raw. Now, there were more matches announced during SmackDown later on. We're not going to talk about those because it's not been aired yet, and we won't do that. We'll also follow those same guidelines with Independence Rage. By the way, shout out to our guy Chris. He was going to come in and sign his contract tonight. Had some personal things come up. He'll be in here in studio, as will Sean, next week, so we can have this party and welcome the newest member, the fourth horseman, to the podcast team.
I'm definitely Art Anderson.
Why does your foot go like that?
That's not his foot.
Or his hand. Oh.
Not because I'm the enforcer.
Okay. So then that makes Sean's
Tully? No. Probably.
I'm JJ Dillon. I don't do.
No, you're not JJ Dillon either.
JJ
You know how they interchange the fourth one off all the time? Sean's that one.
Okay. Okay.
I'm the player to be named later.
Yeah. You are the player to be.
Cash considerations.
Coming to the ring, TBD. And last but not least, of the matches that were announced, Raquel and Roxanne will defend their newly. Roxanne obviously was put in place of Liv on Monday night, but they will defend their new titles in a match versus a team from Raw and a team from SmackDown and a team from NXT. Maybe next week we can kind of. Maybe by next week we'll know who the teams are. If not, we'll kind of play a what if. I had initially thought they would be defending the titles versus the Bellas because that's what the plan was before Liv got hurt. But apparently, I'll be honest with you, I'd love this match to be Judgment Day versus the Bellas versus the Iconics versus maybe the TNA Knockout tag champs. Like I would love to see this be a bigger deal. Obviously, the NXT team everybody was thinking of would have thought a month ago would have been the Meta Girls, but I don't know that they even have any tag teams at NXT anymore.
Zaruka.
Yeah, I guess Zaruka could or so, whatever. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think they do that though because
either that or probably maybe Fallon Henley and
I just thought of Fatal Influence.
That's the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that would make sense, or the Culling, because they kind of brought
Nutty Buddy.
Paxton.
Hi, Sean.
Hi. That's my niece.
Oh, is that Belle?
Yep, that was Bella.
Yo.
Hey.
So that's kind of what we got for Evolution so far. Tiffany Stratton will defend her title at the PLE. We don't know who. Well,
we do, but
we don't know who. And then there's probably going to be a couple other matches. I'd love for there to be a TNA match on this card. I don't know that that's going to happen. I haven't got that confirmed or denied yet. Last time I checked, I got not sure yet. So that's something that is on the table. NXT last night was really good. Started off with Joe Hendry defeating Wes Lee. It was a really good match.
Santana came out for the save.
What's that?
Santana came out for the save.
Yeah. So it says as Hendry looks forward to a future title shot, it was announced this past week that it will be Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams versus Mike Santana at Slammiversary on July 20th.
How good is he getting?
Who? Santana. I mean, he's as good as he always has been. I've always been a big LAX fan, and I've thought they deserved a main roster run
when he was at,
a long time
ago. What were they
ago.
in AEW? The Inner Circle. They should have got more run.
They should have been tag champs.
Yeah, they should have got more run time then.
Did they not win the tag title?
No, they did not. No, they didn't.
Which, by the way, shout out if y'all are watching us and Dynamite 300 tonight. We'll try to turn that on. You know what? Let's do that. We got the graphics on in here, but we don't have a camera pointed at the graphics tonight. So
the cards never make sense.
Let's see.
The Young Bucks and I forget who against Kyle O'Reilly. Again, I don't know. It's like it never makes sense.
We're going to throw this on the screen while we're finishing up NXT. Miles Bourne defeated Lexis King. Laney Reed defeated Thea Hale. She cheated, but she won. Izzy Damon Tatum Paxley defeated Sol Ruka and Zarya. As Paxley accidentally speared Sol Ruka, leading to Dame pinning the Women's North American Champion. And Amura defeated Jasper Troy. I think earning a shot at Obafemi at Bash. I'm going to double down on the fact that I think this Jasper Troy guy could have been a really big deal. And they have his intro is just amazing. His walk down to the ring with
the chains, you hear the chains clanking around.
Crazy. Also, Luca Crucifino, we want to know who he was the consigliere for. Well, it's neither one of them. He punched both of them in the head, and his only loyalty lied with himself. Charlie Dempsey also accepted Tavion Heights' challenge to a one-on-one match. For some reason, to get out of the no quarter catch crew, you've got to fight Charlie Dempsey to get out. I don't know why you want to do that. It was announced Izzy will fight Sol Ruka for the NXT Women's North American Championship at the Bash. Hank and Tank will challenge the Culling for the tag titles. I guess that should have been the other way around. The Culling will challenge Hank and Tank for the tag titles next week. And last but not least, last night, the night ended with Blake Monroe returning to help Jordan Grace fend off Fatal Influence, setting up a tag match at the Great American Bash. Joey, we'll go with your thoughts first because you actually watched NXT last night. How are you? Let's get to the main point. How are you liking the partnership? Are you still feeling like this is a beneficial partnership for both WWE and TNA? Because a lot of people, you listen to Busted Open, which we'll talk about them a little bit later, making history this week. But just to get your opinion, because I know you're not an avid TNA watcher.
I watch absolutely more of it now than I did, and I don't necessarily watch the shows live, but I keep up with what's going on more now than I ever did. But no, I love it. I mean, they get exposed. It's definitely, in my opinion, more of a benefit to TNA than it is WWE, because they get some of their to me, it's okay. It's a double-edged sword. It's more of an initial benefit for TNA because their stars get more publicity because of WWE. But in the end, where's Mike Santana going to end up? WWE.
See, I would even.
Where's Joe Hendry going to end up? WWE. I mean, I think it's more. I think it's a more higher level. And I don't want to say it like a AAA farm team. It's going to be kind of like a gateway for some of these guys.
See, I think that the goal of this was to make it equal to NXT, because the one thing I've enjoyed about it all is, and Tom, great point. I was going to get to that here in a second. We'll keep that comment paused for a second. WWE, I don't want to act like they're not getting anything out of this. Every time one of these guys from TNA show up on NXT, the crowd goes insane.
Yep.
Another underlying benefit to this is that they're sending a lot of their people over to TNA to get reps. And that's what makes you a better wrestler. Repetition.
Well, even with Evolve now, like some of the NXT people are getting
more reps
over, get more reps to come back as a feeding ground, right? So as people move up from NXT, they move some of these people that they've had in NXT before that have a little bit of a name that are able to get these reps. Now they can move back to NXT and be more ready.
Dynamite starting with another Adam Hangman Page promo. We can't hear it because we got it muted. So we'll let Tom.
Some of the fans look catatonic at ringside. I know one guy was just sitting there. He looked like Festus.
He really did. Tom Jeffries makes the point that I was thinking the whole time. TNA getting way more from this deal than with the deal from AEW, and that's because you absolutely know that the TNA people are going to defeat. You're going to have one of the TNA guys, and maybe even Joe Hendry, is going to win an NXT championship and take it back to TNA. At Slammiversary, Trick Williams he's going to lose his title. I haven't decided whether for this to be solid. I'll say this: for this to be solid, Trick's shoulders had to be the ones pinned to the ground. You can't have Santana pin Joe Hendry or Joe pin Santana. That just makes it seem like TNAers can beat TNAers, but they can't beat no. And I fully expect the tag titles to change hands to a TNA tag team within the next few months. I'd love for it to be the Hardys. Wouldn't mind if it was the Rascals. First Class. That's listen. Wasn't a big big Top Dollar fan at all. I wasn't a Hit Row fan though. I liked that little thing that they had going on with Swerve and him.
With Swerve, yeah.
And Ashanti and B-Fab, but that was Hit Row. It wasn't
Hit Row.
Yeah. And it does. It brings more eyes to both NXT and TNA. It probably does benefit TNA more viewer-wise than it does NXT, but those TNA people are being recognized in NXT. And it's also a lot of those people, you've heard them say, this fulfills a lifelong dream of me being able to be on WWE television. Who's this coming out to? Okay. We got the D Riders coming out interfering. No, it's just Jon Moxley and his title that's been inside of a briefcase for almost a year now. And we're behind on it. We just turned it on. So
I will say that this for Marina Shafir has been good for her.
Oh yeah, she's been on TV, even though all she's doing is carrying the briefcase to the ring and back.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely way different than when AEW is partnering with TNA and it's going to be a great partnership. And Tony Khan gets on there, yeah, it's going to be great for everybody. And then within a few weeks, the AEW guys are the X division in the heavyweight title. They defend the TNA championship and lose it on AEW television. It just wasn't a good thing. So All right, let's get to the OVW report, which our guy Chris Runyon has sent to me. So this was the final card. We're not going to give any spoilers because they've actually asked us not. It's going to air tomorrow night at its normal time slot. They've asked us not to spoil, and we will not do that because we are the official. Well, we're the official podcast to the official podcast for OVW. So I imagine our relationship's still similar, but so there were 7 matches last night. There was Jack Vaughn versus Cash Daniel. There was the Rush Division Championship TLC match. Sophia Rose defended her women's championship against Freya, the Slizea. Then you had Tony Evans and Drew Hernandez wrestling Jay De Niro and Surge, the United States champion, in the finals for the OVW heavyweight title, which I don't know. I'm going to need Chris to message me and let me know what happened to the OVW champion, because the last time I was there was a champion, and it was Mount Kadim or Kadir, whatever. But the 2 semifinal matches were Cal Hero versus Dustin Jackson, Crixus versus Tony Gunn, both in the Revolution. So that was a big deal. And the finals last night, we cannot tell you what the finals were, but it was a banger, and there was a new OVW heavyweight champion crowned last night. And I think a lot of people are going to be happy with the results of that. TNA report by our guy Clint Carroll from WrestleVision. He simply states, as TNA announced earlier this week, the main event of Slammiversary is now a triple threat. It's Joe Hendry versus Mike Santana versus Trick Williams. And it was so hilarious earlier. Again, y'all know I'm a big Busted Open fan. Sean's never been busted open, or never mind. But Tommy Dreamer, he actually books TNA, and he was on the show today, and he almost slipped up and spoiled this week's TV results. He's like, wait a minute, did that happen already? Oh, crap. I may have just given away, but it was something that had already happened on TV. It was the results of the Battle Royal from last week that we watched when Ash by Elegance snuck in at the end and won that match. But former partners in a chain match for the knockout title. It'll be Killer Kelly facing Masha Slamovich, which is she's the next TNA knockout that I'm interested in seeing making a move at some point. But that match will be oh wow, that's not at Slammiversary. It's a chain match on the show this week. Who will have the championship leading into Slammiversary? And see the debut episode of Frankie Kazarian's Kings of Speech, new little talk show segment. See what happens with Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Also, you have Jake Something versus Mance Warner, and Matt Cardona, who is always ready, versus Eddie Edwards, and The Inspiration versus Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. I will have to say this. Last week we were informed by our guy, referee Daniel Spencer, was like, you need to watch the AJ match. AJ Francis versus Joey. Who was AJ Francis versus? Was it Santana? Why am I drawing a blank here?
I am too. It doesn't really matter who it was against.
Well, he was telling us it was AJ's best match ever, and it was absolutely true. Let's see. Okay. But yeah, it was his best match ever, and it was awesome. Oh, Hangman has got Dean Ambrose
with a knife.
He's trying to screw Dean Ambrose. Oh, okay. We won't give too much of that away. So yeah, and we've kind of already went over the other stuff that we had talked about, but it's now a triple threat. That Santana Hendry Trick match, that's going to be off the chains. We'll be watching Slammiversary here at the Waugh Mansion on July 20th. It'll be a good time. So thank you. We want to thank once again. We want to thank Clint. We want to thank our guy, which I saw. Like I'm sitting there at Target doing some stuff earlier, shopping, and there's Tom Jeffries. Like, hey man, sent you the report. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Of course. Everybody's just calling during the show. That was Terry. What up, T? Speaking of Tom Jeffries, he was telling us that AEW 300 Dynamite was tonight, and we're watching that right now. Last week's Dynamite started with Mercedes jumping Tony Storm from behind. Mina Shirakawa makes the save. Ospreay and Swerve beat Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. Kota Ibushi defeats Trent Beretta.
Claudio Castagnoli.
Joe Mosley cut a promo telling everybody he's the only one who knows how to be the champ. I know who he meant, but he didn't. Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight defeat Ricochet and AR Fox. Ricochet walked out during the match. Mark Briscoe defeats Taka Shida. Bandito and Roderick Strong. Oh, sorry. Mark Briscoe defeats Taka Shida, Bandito, and Roderick Strong by pinning Roderick Strong. Earns the number 1 spot for the men's casino battle royal at All In. There's a battle tonight for the number 2 slot. Chris Statlander defeats Willow Nightingale, Athena, and Thunder Rosa by pinning Nightingale. I imagine that was for the number 1 spot as well.
Correct.
And Hangman Adam Page defeats Mercedes Monet's boyfriend, the Beast Mordos, which that still just absolutely baffles me how she went from what she went to what she got to. All right, here's what I'm going to ask you all. As I've already deleted the questions from. First off, was this the best Saudi pay-per-view ever, Sean?
I'd have to say so. From like I saw the table spot too y'all were talking about. The crowd was pretty lively for me. From
we got Stephen Hawking on the podcast.
Sean, you're cutting out on us.
You hear me?
Nope.
The crowd was lively for the high spots.
I kicked him out. Joey, what about you? What do you think? He'll come back.
I would put it at the top. I don't know if it's necessarily the best, but it's definitely at the top because I can't really think of a full card that they've had before. Obviously, I'm a big Rumble fan, so I did enjoy the greatest Royal Rumble match that they had.
It's the Ups. The Ups have come out to help Hangman.
Yeah, but yeah. I think it was definitely at the top. I mean, the star power, the matches were all really good. I would give it a solid A.
Oh, he's got the title briefcase. What's he gonna do with it? Is he gonna open it up and there'll be nothing in it? I don't know. Sean, call back.
For 10 months, nobody's seen that belt.
Did he pull it out?
I don't know.
Not Sean. All right. Well, I can't even remember another Saudi card that had 2 good matches on it. So the fact this one had 5 good matches on it.
Well, like I said, I'm a huge Rumble fan.
Yeah, so but the other matches on that show,
don't remember them
exactly.
I said I'd give it a solid A.
Here, yay! It's Sean. Is he going to be Darth Vader? Or is it going to be Sean?
How's it sound now?
There he goes.
Hey.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, Saudi show was the best one they've had because the right winners. The matches are actually good too. Because let's be honest, some of those Saudi shows, the matches were just bad.
Agreed. That's where the. Wasn't that where Triple H and Shawn wrestled Undertaker and Kane?
Yes.
That was Australia, I thought. Or no, that's where. Never mind. That's where Triple H and Undertaker fought each other for the last time.
Yes.
And then they wrestled in Saudi Arabia, and it's back to doing it again.
It's Sean.
Saudi is where Goldberg almost killed the Undertaker.
Yeah. Oh, and Adam Page just buckshotted whatever her name is.
Marina Shafir.
All right. the second question was worst. I'm going to give 2, and I think one of them is going to be everybody's. It's going to be David Arquette.
Yep. Delete that off.
The second one I'm going to go with is the Great Khali.
Oh, let me delete that one off.
Sean, what about you? Who we're going to make sure we delete all of Joey's off real quick.
It would have to be Jinder Mahal.
Yep, take that one off.
That's the one, the worst, because they gave him the title just because they were going on TV in India. So.
The 2 Vinces. Vince McMahon's world title win, and Vince Russo holding the WCW world title.
I don't remember Vince Russo ever winning.
He absolutely did.
Title. I remember that. I remember Jeff Jarrett beating Hogan beating Jarrett, or something happened with that, and then they threw the title at Vince. I don't remember him ever.
I looked it up
holding or defending it. And
he
then the last.
He won it in a cage match.
I don't remember
it.
It was like that Tower of Terror or something, maybe. Or no, that was David Arquette that won that, I think. I don't know. Either way, I looked it up beforehand to validate because I thought I remembered it, and it happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell with me, but I think our cousin James thinks Cody Rhodes the worst champion ever. He is a non-wrestling knower, as we said. But he brought up one Jack Swagger. Now, Jack Swagger absolutely deserved to be a heavyweight champion.
Kind of forgot about that.
They just kind of rushed him. Had they waited a little bit, he would have been valid. Last question of the night that we had, and we'll get back to the chat line. Predict the main event at WrestleMania for what do we got coming up this year? 42. So 47. Who do you all think is going to be in that main event for the ladies? I've got Stephanie Vicaire defending against Roxanne Perez, actually. And on the men's side, I've got Braun Breaker versus Goldberg. No, I'm just kidding. Braun Breaker versus Dominic Mysterio, I think, is a solid guess.
I would say for the men, I had 4 names wrote down. Braun Breaker and Dom. But I've also got Oba Femi. I think Braun versus Oba in 5 years could be a big time match. I also think
no bread, no water, just me.
For the women, I went away from the obvious picks, but I think that which Blake Monroe's probably is an obvious pick. And Sol Ruka, man, I think she's going to be.
I see Sol Ruka. I'm still as impressed with Mariah May now as I was before.
I'm impressed with Zarya. I think Zarya is going to be big time when she gets to the main roster. So let me change it. Zarya and Sol Ruka. Maybe it's a one-on-one between them. But Sol Ruka can go, man.
Tom Jeffries wants to know, how does Sean's mic never work? That's a great question. It don't matter where you're at.
Anything that you consider a mic for Sean, it doesn't work.
Wes Brocky says everybody's froze. Maybe it's you're that froze, Wes, because we're watching the live stream on the Wamatron 5000, and we haven't froze on there. So we're doing just fine on Twitch. I'm watching, looking.
Here comes CE No down the ramp.
CE No?
Yeah.
I don't hate that. Let's go ahead and pull this up real quick to make sure. It's probably just Wes's Fisher Price internet that he has. No, actually, Wes's WrestleMania. I already know what his WrestleMania match is.
From OVW.
It's going to be. It's going to be Luke Curtis versus Joe Mack, and on the women's side, it's going to be
Freya.
It's going to be Freya versus Hollywood Haley J.
Ooh, Zilla. Zilla could be in a main event by then.
Zilla could be. He very well could be. Wes, we're just messing with you.
Yeah.
You know that. Closing thoughts, the final bell. I don't have a graphic for this yet, but it was interesting that on Monday night, the WWE I liked what they did at first until I blatantly saw the man's tattoo on his arm.
Yeah.
El Grande Kaiser. You've been seeing him lurking in the background of their segments for the last couple of weeks and kind of wondering why. Well, he was going to go under the mask as El Grande Americano, which I don't hate. I would have liked that had I not immediately known who it was.
They can do that just like they did the Chad Gable thing. It's Kaiser, and then he kind of do the same thing with him. So I don't necessarily hate it that we got that screenshots, of people showing, oh, it's definitely you could tell it was by his build and the way he walked anyway.
Our guy Charles Wimpy says, still in therapy but making progress. Good. We love that. Thought it was the best. I just think the bloodline is getting a little worn out. I guess
it's in a lull right now.
But is it in a lull? Because we just saw,
considering everything that we've had with the bloodline, I think it's about to get fired back up real quick.
Solo just beat the hottest member of the bloodline in recent memory. And by the way, just brought all the brothers back together. Brought Tower Tonga. I really hope they don't call him Tala.
They've already announced that his name's Tala.
They didn't say anything during the pay-per-view.
No, I think online, like if you look at the
roster,
I think it shows him as Tala Tonga.
I hope not.
Something like, and it was on the internet, so it doesn't necessarily.
Could have been Wes Brocky did it. He probably called him Tallulah Tonga, but I sure hope they don't go with that name. That would be kind of devastating. But anyway, Charles, I agree but disagree because they have found a way to make the bloodline thing interesting every week for like 300 weeks. So I'm now where I'm interested in is where we go next. You got Jacob chasing Solo. Who does Jacob bring in to help him out? Does he align himself with Jimmy and Roman? Like what do we do there? I don't know.
Or you
interested
got
to find out.
You got Lance Anoa'i that had been signed to NXT. There's other people to bring in.
There's no more big names though to bring in because Zilla's only been wrestling for like a year.
I get that he's still a big name because the anticipation's there.
Sure.
From being Umaga's son, and he's knocking it out of the park. Down
Booker. My God.
What's Booker's
Reality of Wrestling?
Okay.
Which, by the way, if you go to every wrestling event in the United States like our guy Clint Carroll does, he'll probably be there for Heart and Soul. Natalia Neidhart will be headlining that all women's event versus a young lady named Promise Braxton. And if you haven't watched her in action before, check out her highlights. She's pretty impressive. She looks like she might be the next one come up. Her and Haley J, man. Haley J fought out of somebody the other night, man. She was impressive. For anybody that can brag about being a good slapper, she's hopefully she's a slapper, not a flapper. Sean, we'll explain later. Huge congratulations, huge shout out to our I say our friends, we don't know them, but the good people at Sirius XM. They have made Dave LaGreca about 16 years ago started a wrestling radio show on the airwaves at Sirius. He had like a certain time slot where he went on once a week for an hour, and then
Taz was involved.
Went 5 days a week for a couple hours, and then they gave them their own slot on Sirius XM, where they've been doing Busted Open for quite a while, from 9 to noon, and now Pro Wrestling Nation, which I want to know what happened to all the other programming on that channel because it just kind of went away. What I do want to say is kudos to them, because normally when you announce something's coming, like the Netflix thing we knew about for like a year and a half, right? Mm-hmm. Dave LaGreca on the show Friday was like, starting Tuesday, Busted Open 24/7. And by God, 2 days later, it was Busted Open 24/7, and all the MMA people were evicted from the Big Brother house, and I don't know where they're at now. I don't know what's going on with that, but you got Dave LaGreca, you got Tommy Dreamer, you got Bully Ray, Mark Henry, all doing stuff there. And then after Busted Open, you've got Not Sam from Not Sam Wrestling. He does a live show every day. After that, you've got Jonathan Coachman with various guest hosts. After that, and I can't remember who the last one was. Matt Cardona's got a show. So you've got a whole bunch of different wrestling personalities. We
got to get
that's
this
the go.
one there.
That's the go. That's the go. So we'll just looking forward to all that, man. Shout out to them. Congrats to them. Last but not least, man, something that's been bothering me, and Joey, we talked about this during the pay-per-view the other day. Referee consistency. And this is not a shot at our guy Daniel Spencer, because we've not. Daniel's really good at getting knocked down and counting to 2.5. So and not seeing things going on behind his back. But I don't have any gripes with his referee style. What I do have a gripe with is that why for Jay versus Gunther it only took one arm raise and fall down the second time, but the first time we had to see the arm raised and dropped 3 times. I don't get it.
It was always 3.
It was always
you
3.
Always had that 1, 2, and then the pull back up on the third. Hogan, and then he'd hulk up and blah blah blah. But like at different times, you see. I guess maybe if the referee sees that the person is totally out, is why they call it that way. I don't know. I would just prefer them to go ahead and raise and lower it 3 times. Keep them from looking totally weak, I guess.
I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
So for the questions we're doing one next week, right? Before Evolution. One of the questions of the night or whatever you call it. Who do we think surprise returns
for Evolution?
Yeah, I think that should be one of the questions of the night. Who do we think could show up that we haven't seen in a while? Or
I mean, there's 2 obvious ones: Brie and Paige. I don't know that they're Brie. Bella.
Well, and
because she's not, she's claiming, and obviously that's AJ. What you're gonna do. Yeah, I'd love to see AJ. I'm just hello. I'm just not sure there's really that woman's wrestler out there that's not been with WWE recently that would be a huge.
What if you saw Beth Phoenix come out? I think that would be kind of
that would be a shocker. Yeah, it'd be a shock
thing. Because even with Brie, I mean, Daniel Bryan just, I believe, returned to Ring of Honor, made an appearance. I don't know that it was a return, but since he's still with that company, if Brie shows up on WWE, and especially after they lost, like they went away from the Bellas and went to the Garcias, and they kind of badmouthed WWE a little bit.
They're back to the Bellas again.
Yeah.
They've got the Bella Twins podcast.
I think there's some names that, I'm not saying it's going to be like, now if
they should have
it'll blow the roof off.
Absolutely.
If AJ blow the roof off. I don't think Brie Bella blows the roof off. It'll be a good pop, but somebody that's like,
China.
Yeah, that would blow the roof off.
I absolutely believe they should have held Mariah May to Evolution and debuted her there. I'll say that. I think that would have been a big deal. I was really hoping there was some validity to the reports that Britt Baker was done with the AEW. That would have been a nice one. I think everybody that watches wrestling would have recognized her and would have popped really big for her. There's just not a whole lot of I will say this: the women in WWE a lot more loyal than the men in WWE, as far as they're gonna ride or die with that promotion. You don't see as many women, former WWE women in AEW.
That's it, ain't it?
Pretty
Maria Shafir or whatever, but she
wasn't
barely
on
did
TV
anything.
hardly.
Mercedes is the only one.
Let's see, Toni Storm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she was on there for,
and that's the 2 people.
Yeah,
2 women wrestling for their world title.
That's about it. Yeah. Tom Jeffries wants to know about Zilla. He says, according to Paul Heyman, we're only in the 6th inning of the Bloodline. I'm here for as long as they keep making compelling TV. They could be in the 2nd inning for all I care. let's get your all's final thoughts. No, Sean. What about you? Ref consistency. How important is it to you that the referees do the same thing every time? Because to me, referees are important to the match, but the most important part about it is you don't want a Teddy Valentine. You want somebody, as much as it pains for me to say this, like Daniel, who knows refereeing the match, but he doesn't try to steal the spotlight. He doesn't try to make it about him. He does a referee's job, which is not very difficult, but it's still you don't. And I've noticed this a lot recently with WWE. I'll look up and be like, well, who's this ref? I haven't seen this ref before. And it's somebody that's been on TV for like 12, 13, 14 weeks. It's somebody I have seen before. I just don't notice them because they're doing their job well.
That's the biggest thing with referees. If you don't notice them, they've done their job well. Unless you're Lil Nate and you're running down
oh my God,
300-foot ramp and get destroyed.
John Cena.
God bless him.
Absolutely.
Charles Robinson's the GOAT, man. I think he's past Earl Hebner for me for greatest referee of all time.
Here's what I will say. The equivalent of what John Cena did to Lil Nate is Sean's first time with a female.
It reminded me, fiction. It reminded me of when Keith Lee bounced Adam Cole
over the top. Yeah, that was so awesome.
Crowd. Holy crap, that was amazing.
So awesome. Guys, we appreciate you all joining us here on another Wednesday night. Next Wednesday night, we will be here with you at 9, a special start time of 9 p.m. I've got some stuff that's going to push me a little bit later in the day next Wednesday. We're going to have our new co-host in studio to sign his contract. You're not going to want to miss that. We might have a round of whipped cream in here to celebrate. Just kidding, Chris. I know you're scared of that type of stuff. Shout out to our sponsors, CapGo Championship Belts. If you'd like a championship belt, custom made, even the stuff they make it, for the feds. We don't want to say that because we don't want to get in trouble. But they'll make your dream championship belt. Joey, can you turn the camera over to my championship belt really quickly that we have had made by CapGo? Yeah, you'll have to zoom in to see it. But anyway, they'll do any style, they'll make it however you want it. They do a really good job there. Mention us for 10% off of your order. And our fine friends at i6tix. Go to i6tix.com. They do a variety of customized stuff. Joey, can you show them your magnet you got from i6tix? Commemorating WrestleMania. I've got souvenir tickets that turned out really well for both nights of WrestleMania. We appreciate them. Gonna do some giveaways with them in the future. Appreciate it. We hope you all enjoyed tonight's episode. We promise that we're adding a new member to the team. Final words, Sean. This is not like the final words for Cardinal Sports Zone. These are your final wrestling thoughts. We have coming up Independence Rage. Well, let me ask you that question. Who do you hope comes out of Independence Rage? You don't know who won the matches last night, correct?
No.
So out of Crixus, it was Crixus, Dustin Jackson, Cal Hero, and Tony Gunn, right? Were the final four. Who do you hope walks out of Independence Rage with that strap? I'm not going to say who because I know who.
Let's go Cal Hero.
Okay, Sean.
He said Cal Hero.
Okay, all right. Joey, what about you?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about OVW right now. If I had to say anybody, I would just say Cal Hero probably makes the most sense.
I would cheer for Cal. I would cheer for Cal Hero because I like him, but I don't know that he's a heavyweight champion to me. No offense to him, because I respect his grind and his hustle. Crixus makes more sense as a heavyweight champion to me. However, Cal's been grinding. I really do hope that's any of the four would be great heavyweight champions. Tony Gunn's been champ before. Brought the title in here to the Ringside podcast studios. I believe it was him. I know Randy Royal did as well. Tony Storm's cheeks are hanging out at the moment, so that's awesome. chat line. Let's see what they got to say. WrestleMania in 5 years for Tom Jeffries. Julia versus Britt Baker. I don't hate that. And men's, MJF versus Seth Rollins. Brother, if that's the case, you will not find a bigger MJF fan in the world than the one sitting right here at the table, at the head of the table at that, the OPC, the original podcast chief. You saw my Ula Fala. If you ain't Ula following, then what are you doing? I don't know. 4. Oh, wait a minute. Sean, you gave your final thoughts, right? I get going and I be forgetting. Joe, your final thoughts.
Just looking forward to how this Evolution card shakes out, seeing what matches get announced. I seen a poster. So you see a lot of the faces that they put on the poster. You expect them to be a part of the show.
There were 100 people on the poster. I hope that's the case because they only do these once every 8.5 years.
They're going to do a battle royal, so they're going to
That's
lot
true.
them on.
That's true.
There, so I would expect more than a 4 or 5 match Evolution for the women
tonight. Heroes versus villains. Swerve and Will versus Mordo and somebody.
Yeah, just random. Like that's random.
Bandito and Paragon versus Takeshita
and the Bucks that have no affiliation.
Well, who's the third person over? They don't even have Kyle O'Reilly over there. They've got his picture. They don't have his name.
Yeah.
Make that make sense.
Random. Like the Bucks are everywhere. They're aligned with.
Actually, later on in the evening, MJF and MJF and Shelton Benjamin are wrestling Kevin Knight, Speedball Bailey, and me. I've got a match to get ready for. I don't know why. I have no clue why I'm in that match.
I'm in the Casino Battle Royal.
Okay.
Sean, I'm the what do they call it? The wild card.
Yeah.
Joker.
The Joker.
The Joker.
Oddly enough, Sean's in the women's battle royal, so it's crazy.
Sean's going to be at Evolution.
Shantina.
Shantina.
Listen,
Barbarella.
We are Barbarella. We are in. I have to say this: we are in the best time period of wrestling that I've ever seen, been alive for, with all the different pay-per-views going on, all the different promotions being on fire. Really enjoying wrestling. You guys try not to take things too serious. There's no need to be. There's a lot of tribalism. The heck is that?
It's a beaver.
Okay, Sean. Well, just remind us after the show. A lot of tribalism going on on the social media. There's no need for that. You prefer one over the other. You don't have to crap on the other thing. You just know that yours is superior and theirs is inferior.
I just don't understand theirs.
That's true. That's very, very true.
I liked it for 3 years. Really,
and that's what Tom said at Target.
Really enjoyed it.
Tom from Target actually said the same thing. He was like, "Man, I was really into it for the first 3 years, and I'm a defender of it now, but it's getting hard to defend." And I don't disagree. Look, for Joey, Joe Uso over here, the big little Uso, the right-hand man.
RK Joe.
For the wise man, Sean Barber. I'm your OPC, your original podcast chief. You know what? Acknowledge all 3 of us, even Sean for some reason. This has been the Ringside Podcast and CSE Podcast production of the Wednesday Nights Wrestling Recap. Until next time, acknowledge us. We will see you ringside.